Starting.
Amazing.
Family.
Laughter.
Friendship.
Life-changing.
Exciting.
Been fulfilling.
Unifying.
Unique.
Amazing.
Rewarding.
Community.
Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to Hakhanah LeShabbat with the BJ Teens. You are about to hear a terrific selection of songs performed by a terrific selection of teens. Without further ado, let's start off on a strong note. I will be singing Am I Awake by Noah Aronson. I chose this song because it was one of the first songs that I learned that was spiritual but not in Hebrew. I'm a songwriter, and knowing that spiritual songs don't have to be written in any particular way is important to me because it means that they can be more accessible to all people, both writers and listeners. I prepare for Shabbat in my own life by going around the table with my family and talking about our highs and lows of the week. My life is really busy, especially right now, and Shabbat is the kickoff of the weekend, which means that I have time to rest and get ready for the week ahead. On BJ Teen retreats and trips, Shabbat is really nice because we don't use any electronics at all, which sounds kind of scary, but is actually a really big stress reliever, at least for me.
Hi everybody, I'm Raphael. I don't know about all of you, but I'm tired of COVID. I'm tired of online school, feeling like every day is the same, sitting in my room by myself all the time. It's so boring. I'm so happy just to travel from my house twice a week just to go to school. I never thought I would be happier just going into school, seeing real people and not just boxes on Zoom. Here Comes the Sun, the iconic Beatles song, speaks of the warmth and good feeling you have after it's been a long winter. And I can't think of a longer and more brutal winter than being quarantined for a year during COVID. So that's what I'm hoping, that the sun is going to come and that everything is going to be okay. And that's why we sing Shalom Rav, especially on Shabbat. We ask God to grant us peace. It's not just the words that are uplifting, but also the music. The tune is hopeful and comforting. Shabbat is our day of rest, and it's a way of telling us that everything's going to be okay. Now we are ready for the peace of Shabbat, and we are ready for the sun. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. The smiles returning to the faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, sun, sun. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
Hi, I'm Sari. I'm about to sing a mashup of two songs that mean a lot to me, Rivers and Roads by The Head and the Heart and Gesher. Rivers and Roads is a favorite of mine that I originally heard at my Jewish camp. I remember my counselors playing it for me when I was in 5th grade and thinking it was weird. Now it makes me cry every time I hear it because of the beautiful lyrics about being far away from friends. It makes me think a lot about how close I feel to my Jewish communities at camp and at BJ, and how hard it is to be distant from them. Gesher is another song that is sung often at my camp, and it brings me a lot of nostalgia as well. The lyrics are, Kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od, v'ha'ikar lo lefached klal, and they translate to, all the world is a very narrow bridge, and the most important thing to do is not to be overwhelmed by fear. To me, this also relates to staying connected with friends and family far away. If the whole world is a narrow bridge and we are all on it together, we can't be that far apart in spirit. A year from now, we'll all be gone. Our friends will move away. but our friends will be gone away. Oh, oh, been talking about the way things change, and my family lives in a different state. And if you don't know what to make of this, then we will not relate. If you don't know what to make of this, then we will not relate. Kol haolam kulo gesher tsar meod, kol haolam gesher. Kol haolam kulo gesher tsar meod, kol haolam gesher. V'ha'ikar lo lefached klal, lo lefached. V'ha'ikar lo lefached klal, lo lefached. Rivers and roads, rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you. Rivers and roads, oh, rivers and roads, oh, rivers till I reach you. Rivers and roads, rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you. Rivers and roads, oh, rivers and roads, oh, rivers till I reach you.
I think it's true if I say that this next song, Kumle, is a constant on any BJ teen trip. One thing I love about this song is the fact that for each person singing, it's really, really simple. It's easy to do while sitting on some grass, or on a bus in the middle of a desert, or basically anywhere. But what makes a song amazing and fun to sing is what it sounds like when all of the parts come together. Doing this song with a large group reminds me that it's sometimes the simplest things that turn out the most beautiful. When I'm with a BJ teen group on Shabbat or on a trip, I don't have my phone distracting me, and I don't have any impending deadlines looming over me. Just like this song, it's simple, and that's what makes it beautiful.
Thank you so much for joining us to prepare for Shabbat. We hope to see you soon for Teen Shabbat. Bye for now, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Tonight is going to be a little different from your typical Kabbalat Shabbat. This is Teen Shabbat, a Shabbat led wholly by the members of the BJ Teen community. Everyone you see here tonight is trying something different and expressing themselves through prayer, Hakhanah, and even in our band. We're so excited to lead our community in prayer, and we invite you to join us in prayer infused with some of our community's favorite Kabbalat Shabbat tunes. And while you may be at home or on mute, we encourage you to pray, sing, think, and try something new along with us. But first, I'd like to share a little something with all of you. We're about to open Kabbalat Shabbat with Psalm 95, which ends with a reference to our 40 years in the desert as judgment, perhaps even punishment. And yet, often when we hear about these 40 years, we use the word wandering. Not traveling, not journeying, wandering. Why? Before last year, I could not fathom what wandering for 40 years would be like. I mean, imagine walking through a door in April of 1981, walking down a very long hallway, and then emerging through the other side and seeing the world right now. I mean, how would you even process what has changed? That brings me to today. Yes, it has technically been over a year since the world changed, but it's definitely felt like it has been longer. I remember entering the 88th Street Synagogue for Purim services last year. I didn't know what to expect, but I certainly didn't expect a subdued environment. People were quiet and rather uncelebratory on Purim of all holidays, and yet that moment feels so distant. It was the last time I was in this building until yesterday, and my journey since then has been, well, a lot like everyone else's. Extremely complicated and a cause for a lot of self-reflection. There have been times in the past year or so where I have felt like I was wandering in my own personal desert. At times, I have physically, mentally, and creatively felt like I was just ramming against a wall that would not give. I know that while many of you would not describe your experiences the way I just did, I do know that life has been tough on everyone right now. I mean, what I've experienced is far from the worst of it. The fact that the word wandering is used to describe our time in the desert was so puzzling to me before this past year. I've been gripping with that word for a while. I originally saw wandering as a means of no escape, an endless trek across nothing to get nowhere, as a punishment like Psalm 95 seems to indicate. But that way of thinking is ultimately too pessimistic. The most important part of the story is not the wandering, it's that the Israelites eventually do find their way to the Promised Land. There are many reasons offered for this, but one of the most common is that they were finally ready, finally worthy to see it. I'll admit, this comparison isn't perfect. We didn't escape a worse fate to get to where we are now, and what we're working toward isn't exactly a promised land, but a life that we thought we were promised. No matter who you are, this current state is simply not how we expect to live life. But we're also not exactly wandering, or at least we don't have to. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Many people in my family have gotten vaccinated, which is great in a way that I really can't quite articulate. We truly seem, closer to the end of all this than we are the beginning. But as I said, it's not that simple. The word wandering implies being directionless, without purpose, lost. If you truly think you're wandering, that means the only way to emerge from this state is to reach your destination. But even more than vaccinations or tests or anything, emerging from this state of wandering has been about reaching out and connecting with others. I reunited with old friends, watched my new baby cousin learn to walk and talk, and celebrated both the Dodgers winning the World Series, and much less important things like my birthday. Yes, these were mostly at home and remote, but it wasn't always. Actually seeing friends, family, and the incomparable members of the BJ Teen program in person felt less like a regular occurrence and more like a milestone, more like reaching the Promised Land. You could take all of this for granted, as many of us have many times. But when this is over, I'm going to treat these as special events because they are, and I just didn't realize it until now. This time has taught me to value everything just a little bit more, and while I'll emerge from this mental desert exhausted, I'll also emerge with a new appreciation for everything around me. I hope you'll join me in leaving the mental desert ready together to appreciate ordinary life as extraordinary and the promised land as the land that's right in front of us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We will turn to page 10 in the Red Book and 252 in the Blue Book for Yadi Nefesh. Yadi Nefesh Av Harachamah Meshoch Avdach El Retzonah Yarutz Avdach
Lechuneranena Adonai Naria Litzor Yishenu Nekadma Panav Betoda Bizmirot Naria Lo Kiel Gadol Adonai Elohim.
Arbaim Shana Kud Bedor Vaomar Am Toei Levavem Lehem Lo Yadu Derachai Asher Nishbati Be'api Im Yevon El Menuchati
Ladonai kol haaretz, shiru Ladonai baruch Shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato, zafru bagoyim kevodo bechol ha'amim miflehotav, ki gadol Adonai u'olam me'od. Sadai, ay 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 ay, ya alo Sadai, bechol asher bo ya alo Sadai, ay 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 ay, az yiranenu kol atzei ya'ar, 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 ya'alo
continue silently. Shama v'tismach Tzion b'tagelna Nod Yehuda Leman mishpatecha Adonai Ki Ata Adonai Elyon Al Kol Haaretz Me'od na'aleita Al Kol Elohim.
Oh, have Adonai sinura shomer nafshod chasidav miyad rashayim yatzilem or zaru ala tzadik uli shelev simcha simchu tzadikim badonai vehodu lezecher kodsho. Mizmor shiru ladonai shir chadash ki nifla odasah Hoshia lo yamino Jodi Adonai Yeshuato le'enei Zachar chasto be'emunato Levei Yisrael Rabu kol asvei haaretz Et Yeshuat Eloheinu Hariu l'Adonai kol haaretz Yitzlu ve'ranenu ve'zamheru Zamru l'Adonai bechinor bechol zimra Bechatzot u'bekol shofar Hariu lifnei ha'melech Adonai yiram hayam kulo Tevel ve'yoshvei ba'narod Yam nukaf Yachad harim ve'ranenu lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz yishpot b'tevel u'tzedek ve'aminim ve'meisharim Yanai nanai 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 yanai yanai nanai 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 Adonai Elohim
ישתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו.
Please rise and turn to page 21 or 260 for Mizmor LeDavid.
Mizmor LeDavid, Havu Adonai b'nei Elim, Havu Adonai kavod va'oz, Havu Adonai kevod shemo yishtachavu Adonai behadrat kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod hiri. Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach. Kol Adonai behadar. Kol Adonai shover arazim. Vayishaver Adonai el artei halevanon. Vayarkideh kemo egel. Levanon vesirion kemo ben remim. Kol Adonai chotzeh lahavot esh. Kol Adonai yachil midbar. Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh. Kol Adonai yachil hayalot. Vayechesov ye'arot. Kulo merkavot. Adonai la'avu yashav vayeshev. Adonai melech le'olam. Adonai yos le'amo yiten. Adonai yevarech et amo b'shalom. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai.
Please be seated for Lecha Dodi on page 23 or page 262.
Dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat.
Shabbat chila, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat
Mikdash melech ir melucha, kumitzei mitochafecha, rav lach shevet b'mekabacha, vehu yachmol alaychem lalecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela.
lecha dodi likrat kala,
Penei Shabbat
Vitnari me'afar kumi, vikshi bigdei tivar techami, al yad ben yishai beit halachmi. Harva al nifshi gala, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat Hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi uri shir, daberi. Kevod Adonai alaych nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat
Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi velo tikomi imati shtochechi, umatehemi bar yechesu ani ami venicheta kiroti la. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela.
Lehalulim shisa, shosa yiveracha,
Tzala Tov Emunei Am Segula
Boikala Shabbat
Lecha Dodi Likrakala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrakala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela.
Please be seated for Mizmor Shir on page 27 and 266. Mizmor Shir Le'am Shabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer, ulezamer, l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. L'hagid baboker chastecha. L'hagid baboker chastecha. Ve'emunatcha baleilot, ve'emunatcha baleilot. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Beveit Adonai, Bechatzor Eloheinu yafrichu. Od yevun beseva, Teshenim veranim yiyu. Lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo al tapo. Adonai malach, Gehu
narot Adonai nasu, narot kolam, Yisu, narot dochyam, mikolot maim rabim adirim mishpereyam, adir b'maroma Adonai, edotecha nemnu me'od, lebeitcha na bekodesh Adonai leorech yamim. Nai, 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 we conclude with Kaddish Yatom. No, do we? Yes, we conclude with Kaddish Yatom on page 30.
We invite those who are joining us on Zoom to unmute if you're saying Kaddish tonight, and we'll say Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash meraba.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach kirutei ve'amlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. V'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mivarach le'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yinaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kedusha b'rechu. Le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. While preparing for today, I have been thinking a lot about what BJ Teen services usually look like. Once a month, we hold a special teens-only Kabbalat Shabbat service called Hitorari. Before the pandemic, we would have a Hitorari service and then dinner afterwards. Now, we either do the service over Zoom or in person outdoors. I remember the first time I came to Hitorari. It was when I was in the end of my 7th grade year, about to enter the BJ Teen program. It was strange to see this community of what seemed like, at the time, very old teenagers. I couldn't imagine how I would fit into that. But as soon as I joined the program, I felt very much at home. Hitorari quickly became a place where I could forget about whatever else was going on in my life and just enjoy spending time with my friends and singing the melodies of the prayers. The name Hitorari comes from a line we just sang in LeShabbat. Hitorari, Hitorari, kiva orech kumi ori, which means awake and arise to greet the new light, for in your radiance the world will be bright. Hitorari means to wake up. I find this interesting in the context of Shabbat because I usually associate Shabbat with resting, not waking up. But I have come to realize that Shabbat is actually all about waking up, and the Hitorari service is named very fittingly because it definitely feels like a wake-up call. Hitorari offers a relaxing break from my busy school week, but it also wakes me up to the people around me and makes me more mindful. During the service, we focus on self-reflection and it is very energizing even if I'm tired from the week. Whenever I attend Hitorari, I often find myself unconsciously setting intentions for the next week so that I can preserve this feeling of being awake. Instead of being absorbed in my phone, I will interact with my family and friends. Instead of constantly focusing on the next item on my to-do list, I will care for myself and do an activity that brings me joy. Instead of staying inside, I will take a walk at Central Park. The pandemic has made it hard for us to maintain this refreshing feeling of waking up because every day is somehow stressful and mundane at the same time. Also, social distancing has made it much more difficult for us to connect with others. As Sammy shared before, quarantine has given us time and space to be in our own heads and self-reflect, which is a good thing. But sometimes, too much alone time can be detrimental to our mental health. The BJ Teen program has been a constant for me in the past year that has allowed me to wake up to the people around me and the world in general. Whether it's through advocacy and the SEDEC project, or just playing a silly game on Zoom, I have been able to participate in something larger than myself and get out of my head. This Shabbat, I'm going to try to keep in mind this idea of waking up and being inspired by the people around me. It is so important to take a break and reset yourself for the week ahead, and I love that Shabbat gives us the opportunity to do so through prayer, music, rest, community, and reflection. I hope that you were able to find a moment of connection and energy this Shabbat in whatever way is meaningful to you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Please rise and turn to page 39A in Lev Shalem and 279 in Sidur Sim Shalom for the Baruch.
You may be seated.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzavot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamidim locha leinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv aravim.
Ki hem hayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem neged yomam v'laylam ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu l'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levacha ubechol nafshecha ubechol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzabecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatan levavecha b'dibar tabam b'shitecha b'eitecha u'leflecha v'derech v'shokema u'kumecha v'shertam le'od al yadecha ve'ayu l'tetafot b'neinecha u'vtavtam al mezuzot b'eitecha u'visharecha.
Please turn to page 44 in Lev Shalem or page 290 in Siddur Sim Shalom for Umalchuto Barato. Umalchuto Barato Kivilu Alehem Moshe Umiriam B'nei Yisrael Lechanu Shira B'simcha Rabbah Ve'amru Kulam Lichamocha Ba'elim Adonai Lichamocha Nedar HaKodesh Norah Tehila Yosef Eleh Malchutecha Rahu Vanecha Bokei Hayam Divrei Moshe Ze'eli Anu Ve'amru Adonai Imo Le'olam Va'ed
V'nemar kifat Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Ve'enu Adonai Eloheinu LeShalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu LeShalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu LeShalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim.
Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shalomecha Baruch atah Adonai Haporei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al kol yoshevei Tevel ve'al Yerushalayim.
Please rise and turn to page 46 in Lev Shalem and page 294 in Sim Shalom.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Ledorotam beris olam Beini uven b'nei Yisrael Oti leolam
השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Amen. Ba'amad divrei hehutei, ve'amik mahutei.
וחייכון וביומכון וחייתכו בית ישראל. בקלה ובזמן קריב נאמרו אמן. יהי שמירה במבורך לעולם ולעלמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי לקודשה ברכו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירם בעמה, ואמרו אמן.
We can continue with the Amidah on page 47 and page 296. Please face these.
עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Each year, pre-COVID, 7th graders at BJ had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. with their Hebrew school class. The 7th grade curriculum is the Holocaust, so the main point of the trip is to go to the Holocaust Museum. However, while my grade was there, we also visited the National Archives Museum, the Newseum, and more. On the Saturday evening we were in D.C., we walked down the National Mall towards the glowing Lincoln Memorial. Although the mall was dark, all around us on the outskirts of the park were lights from surrounding buildings guiding us towards the monument. Once the sun set, we all huddled in a circle, passed around spices, and swayed to the Havdalah prayers. I have never felt more of a sense of both pride and fear at the same time. Inside our little circle, I felt a sense of belonging, a sense of pride for my Jewish roots, and thought about the First Amendment, freedom of religion. However, when I raised my head to look across the mall, I realized how many people were surrounding us, and I got scared. Walking down the street, a stranger can't tell what my religious beliefs are, but at that moment, I was publicly practicing my Judaism in front of random people in a city I had never been to before. People who identify with a minority group should not have to fear exposing their identity. Hate has gotten us nowhere. The world needs to learn how to love and accept differences. Hate is the reason 12-year-old me was suddenly so nervous about being who she is. We think we are progressing, but we really aren't. Former President Barack Obama says that history does not move in a straight line. However, when it comes to hate crimes, this should not be the case. They need to stop. In 8th grade, my grade took another trip with BJ, this time to the south. We ate chocolate chip waffles for dinner at a Waffle House, walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, visited the lynching memorial and missed a tornado warning, and so much more. While in Birmingham, we met a bishop in a park in front of the 16th Street Baptist Church who talked about the horrors that happened to the little girls in that church in 1963. As we walked around the park, the bishop also talked about how the world's attention was on the city during the civil rights movement due to Birmingham Police Department's violent reaction to peaceful protests. As disturbing as this all was to learn about, the bishop continued to captivate us in song. At the time, it was strange to me that while talking about a serious matter in American history, he kept singing, "Lord, I'm running, try to make 100 because 99 and a half won't do." He was walking around the park, singing loudly and proudly, not giving a care in the world about what others thought of him. Looking back at it now, I realized that there were various reasons why he was singing all of these songs to us. Reason number 1. He was teaching us one of the most common tools people use to get through the civil rights movement. All the songs he was singing were popular songs sung to raise people's spirits during the movement. Reason number 2. He was showing us that even though he had been through more than we could ever imagine, he is alive and was just glad to be there with us. And lastly, reason number 3. He was teaching us not to be ashamed of who we are. There are people who are going to judge us and disagree with us. Whether they act upon it or not, it shouldn't change who we are. If anything, it should make us stronger. I believe a reason why hate crimes are committed is to scare people into hiding aspects of who they are. As a teen growing up in this country right now, I am constantly overwhelmed with pretty much every emotion you can think of. Sadness, hopelessness, disgust, rage, and yes, occasionally, even pride. But sadly, change isn't going to come from sitting at home and watching the news. It comes from stepping up and acting upon what's right. We just prayed the silent Amidah, which translates to the standing prayer. We stand during the prayer to get closer to God and to show our respect. During the civil rights movement, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel went down south to participate in the march from Selma to Montgomery with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and many others. When Rabbi Heschel returned from the marches, he was asked, "Did you have time to pray?" To this he responded with, "I prayed with my feet." Although davening the Amidah and marching to protest injustices may seem very different, they are actually both the greatest forms of prayer. In Shabbat services like these, the Amidah is the center of the service and requires time for reflection. While during the Civil Rights Movement, the marches were a tremendous component in making change, and those marches were the results of reflection. COVID-19 has given many of us the excuse to not do something. There is so much we need to be doing to help the futures of not just us teens standing in front of you today, but future generations. But you already knew this. I wrote this Kabbalat 2 weeks ago, and now, considering the last 36 hours, it's even more apparent to me how much work needs to be done. We have to stop waiting for change and start being the change we wish to see in the world. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We continue our Avit on page 53 and 314 with Vayachulu. Please rise. Vayachulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzevam vaychal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto ki bo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim lasot.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanara El Elyon Konei Shamayim va'aretz.
Magen Avot bidvaro mechayim etim b'ma'amaramo Ha'el HaKadosh she'en kamohu Hamaniach lamo beyom Shabbat kodsho Kivam ratza le'aniach lahem Lefanav navor b'yirav avachad V'nodeh lishmo b'chol yom tamid Ma'on habriot El ha'odaot Adon hashalom Mekadesh hashavat umrech shvi'i Umeniach b'kedusha Le'am medushne oneg Zecher l'maseh bereshit.
Please turn to page 54 or 316 for Kaddish Shalem. Yikadav yikadash meraba Be'omad ivra kirute Be'om lich malchute V'hayachonu uvyom mechon Uv'hayedecho be'Yisrael Ba'agala uvman karim v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam u'le'onaya Yibarach Yibarach Yibishtabar V'itpa'ar V'tromar V'naseh V'ithadar V'italev V'italash V'dekudusha B'rechu Le'olam min kol birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechamata Da'amiram Be'alma V'imru Amen.
Kabel Platon Vaton Dechol Yisrael Kadam Avohon Divishmaya Ve'imeru Amen.
Yehei Shlama Rabba Mim Shemaya V'haim Aleinu Ve'okol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Yaseh Aleinu Ve'okol Yisrael V'kol Yoshvei Tevel V'imru Amen. Please turn to page 55 or 318 for the Kiddush. atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafin, Baruch atah Adonai. Oh, wait. Never mind. We're going to take a pause. Okay, take two. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kosho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu b'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ava uratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Chaim.
Hamalach HaGoeloti is on page 692 in Sim Shalom.
Hamalach HaGoeloti, Hamalach HaGoeloti mikorah, yevarech et hanarim, yikare bahem shemi, v'shem avotai, v'shem avotai, Avraham ve'Yitzchak, ve'yigul harav, ve'yigul harav, bekerev haaretz. Hamalach HaGoeloti, Hamalach HaGoeloti mikorah,
Yevarech et hane'arim, v'yikare bahem shemi. V'shem avotai, v'shem avotai, Avraham ve'Yitzchak, ve'yigul harav, ve'yigul harav, bekerev haaretz. We turn to page 75 in Lev Shalem and 722 in Sim Shalom for Birkat HaKohanim. Just one more second, please. Yisimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim v'ke'Menashe. Yesimech Elohim ke'Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah. Yavarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'kuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom.
Amen. Okay, now we turn to page 56 or 320 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabbat l'adon hakol l'teik gedula le'oser breshit shelo asanu kigoyeh haratzot ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam kahenu kahem ve'gor aleinu ke'ohamonat v'anachnu
כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Continue with morning's Kaddish Yatom. Please be seated.
And we'll invite those who are joining us on Zoom to unmute and say Kaddish together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'almad zivrach yirutei ve'amnich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'mechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yeshmei Rabba Mevarach L'olam U'Me'omaya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpa'ar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh V'Yithadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shemei D'Kudusha B'Richu Leila Min Kol Berchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechemata Da'amiram V'Alma V'Yimru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yimru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'Imru Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. What a blessing it is to be here every Shabbat. And this Shabbat in particular, we have our incredible Teen Shabbat. I'll say more about this, but I feel deeply, deeply inspired by your prayer, by your music, by your words. So really just my soul is feeling nourished as we go into Shabbat. And I'll make a few announcements for our community, but Shabbat, there's so much of Shabbat left and so much of Teen Shabbat that's left for us to look forward to. We turn to our entire community of B'nai Jeshurun and all of our members, and we hold and send our condolences to all of us, and especially the family of Earl Kazis, who passed away, our beloved member, and to his entire extended family and family. We send you comfort and we hold you close in this Shabbat of mourning. On the other side of life and on the life cycle, we turn to the birth, and we are excited and extend a mazal tov, a big congratulations to Melanie Katzman and Russell Makowski on the birth of their grandson, Cameron Bennett Makowski. So we welcome him and we say a mazal tov to your entire family and wish you a wonderful first Shabbat together. And we also say mazal tov to Wendy Linderman, who recently received the Julian Y. Bernstein Distinguished Service Award from the Westchester Jewish Council for her volunteer work at the Hebrew Free Burial Association. Incredibly important work, and we say mazal tov to you and are grateful for the volunteer work that you're doing really for our entire extended community. And Shabbat continues. Teen Shabbat continues tomorrow morning. We look forward to davening with all of you, but really being held in prayer by our teen community, and that will start at 9:30. We invite you to join us. We have members only on Zoom, and those can join us also on live stream, but more prayer and more beauty to come. And then at the very, very end of Shabbat, we're not rushing. We have a longer Shabbat on Saturdays now that the sun sets later, so we will say goodbye to Shabbat for this week at 8:30 with Aravit and a mindful Havdalah. So we really have a lot of nourishment all of Shabbat through our teens, and then going into the new week with mindfulness. Coming up this week on Wednesday, April 21st at 7:30, we have our first of a 4-part series. This part is called From Crisis to Creativity, drawing from the Jewish past to imagine the Jewish future, which is something you can register for after Shabbat. But this is actually a part of, as I was saying, a 4-part conversation that will be hosting and preparing to receive the Torah, to receive the future, leading us up to Shavuot. We're calling the series Preparing to Receive the Future with Ari Wallach, who is a futurist. So it really is something that we're thinking about, both drawing from the Jewish past to imagine the Jewish future, and we'll be exploring and learning from our past and to uncover the knowledge and creativity and imagination needed to look into the future with hope. So this will be the first of our 4-part series, and again, From Crisis to Creativity. We look forward to learning with you on Wednesday night at 7:30. And we are opening up for Shabbat. We actually already have a bunch of families who are joining us here for Teen Shabbat, but very exciting and really marking a really incredible moment after a long year, but a slow, gradual redemption and return back to our sanctuary. So we will have in-person Shabbat beginning next Shabbat, April 23rd. We have started to open our sanctuary, as we said, for Shabbat services only, and it's only for our current members with very limited capacity, and of course safety is at the heart of everything that we're doing and thinking about. And everyone will get one visit at first, and then members will be able to come again with space as allowed. Seating is by household only. This is for everyone's safety. Again, we care deeply about our souls and also our bodies, our safety. And all members have received an email about this and a link for registration. And if you have any questions after Shabbat, you're welcome to reach out to us via email with shabbatinperson@bj.org. And then finally, just I don't really have words. I actually, at one point during the service, I just turned to Laura and I started crying. The beauty of this Shabbat, the beauty of the prayer, the incredible experience. I might cry as I'm saying it, but the incredible experience of having you lead us in prayer, the musicians who are the band, the teens who are leading us in prayer, but really also the incredible teen community that is holding you up, that you are representing, is something that I find hard to really have words for. There's a deep Kedusha, there's a holiness in this, and we feel so grateful to you and so blessed by you and what you bring to all of us in this community. And so we deeply say Yasher Koach and Shabbat Shalom, and look forward to not only tomorrow morning, but many, many more opportunities of prayer with all of you holding us in that prayer. And so with everyone joining us, we say Shabbat Shalom, and we'll conclude tonight with Shalom Aleichem, welcoming the Shabbat angels on page 73 or 722. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Sharim, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Sharim, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeichen Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeichen Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for joining us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.